one of the things that's kind of fun about this office is that it's designed for different horizons of focus to be able to capture all that stuff. It's the same thing with my hierarchy and my digital memory system. So the little @ symbol is above the 0. So I like that up top. So if I click on GTD systems, all of my projects are in the projects list. And then right now, this is what I would call an active project. And then what were we talking about here? Oh yeah, so the different features of projects that I have, basically, these are all the projects that I'm working with on a daily basis, and there's just a ton of support documentation associated with each of them. It's just a lot of data, but I can pretty easily find it. The thing that I wanted to show us, I don't think the SSEIG, I gotta retitle this. Can I retitle this the teaching and learning? The learning code, I mean? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and, because we're done with that thing, but we're definitely not even close to, well, I guess we're started. So that's a shared folder. I didn't want to do that without your permission. One thing that I thought was pretty useful for you guys, Steve, do you remember we were talking about different horizons of focus?
Yes.
So the horizons of focus model is interesting. I like to categorize my projects by impact in my life. So I have about 10 major project areas, only a few of which are like super active with multiple active projects on it. So authorship, relationships, community, and democracy. So right now, for example, one of the major open projects lists that I have in community and democracy is the 2020 election. So if you were to look at this particular thing, that's my active project folder. There's these numbers on it. So I used to label them with the corresponding, so you see authorship is 1. So I used to actually type in the label authorship, but the problem is over time, the project categories change, right? So then what I have to do is I have to delete the label and redo it. And then I realized, well, what matters is the category itself, not the label. So if I assign numbers to the labels, then I can change the category names and not have to actually relabel stuff. But I keep a list right over there on the computer, and that's on, so in my active project list, in my Someday Meiji projects, and in my inactive, they're all labeled associated with that. And you can kind of see, this is for you guys at this point, but I'll do a formal work here. So if you go into my active projects list, I kind of track all the active projects that I'm working with. And then what's really interesting about that is for each of those projects, I have a next action item that I'm working on. This is not, I haven't updated this recently because I've been doing other stuff, but what's nice is that that allows me to kind of give a daily overview of the stuff that I need to get done for that day with corresponding due dates on it. And then the corresponding project support files are found immediately in that active file list. So every time I want to talk about voting, I just pull up this thing, which is a hard copy, and then I have a corresponding soft copy on my computer of stuff that I work on, and that makes it super easy. So super easy to kind of track multiple levels of projects. And what's interesting about that is when I deactivate a project, so for example, right now I'm doing my MATLAB thing, right? So when I did that, I went to my inactive full project list, which was over here, full of inactive projects on top and bottom categorized, and I literally just grabbed about 10 huge folders and put it in the active projects list. And immediately when I did that, that means I had access to like 4 years of work at my fingertips, already organized in that way. And then I track all of it. And so what's nice about this, at the end of this quarter, I'm literally going to take this, you see this FH courses, I'm going to copy and paste. So I take the Engineering 11 YouTube videos, I deactivate it. So I take it off my active project list, put it on my inactive projects list, and then I take the corresponding files, put it in the inactive folder list, and then until the next time I touch it to think about it. And what's nice about that is, like, I'm about to work about 3 months, like 8 to 10 hours a day on this project. And so I'm going to get a ton of work done that I'm going to want to refer back to. And so that's kind of the organizational structure. Anyways, the thing that I wanted to check in with you guys about was, if you remember way back when we had gone into, so let's do active projects and then the learning code. So we had these Conquering College documents. And years ago, I don't even know when I made this document. Maybe it's on here. No, it's not on here. So I had, one of the things that I think is kind of unique about this project is to timestamp a lot of the interventions and principles based on how the quarter flows. I would actually say that I didn't do this in this one, but I should have. I'm not sure. There it is. So table design, that's frustrating. Let's insert above. So video 0 is to prime belief, work on belief. Do you see the structure of my blog posts? First blog post was to introduce what the learning code was all about and what our mission was. The second blog post was to prime belief. Could you guess what my next set of blog posts is going to be about?
Something about goals.
Yep. So it's probably going to be 3 or 4 because I have something like 30 or 40 pages on goals plus the work that you suggested, Henry. So this is an example of this one. I suppose this is the learning code, which right now is not in proper place. You gave me, Henry, some real inspiration. Where would I have put the learning code? Oh, the learning code has its own space in my, you guys will be excited about that. So the learning code has an entire area different from my project space. But Henry, you had spoken about this guy, Brian something or other, this dude?
Yeah.
So the next post that I'm going to do will be, I'm going to prime the beliefs, but if you probably remember, one of the things that I felt really strongly about when I was making this is that when we're talking about setting goals, which I call stay motivated, I had what I call like an intake survey with a bunch of questions about goals. So here it is. And then basically a bunch of activities. So I had some content that I've already made that I haven't updated yet on the website, and then interspersed with activities, right? And so one of the things that I think I'm going to do is to actually break this content into a number of blog posts, each of which has an activity worksheet, a PDF worksheet or a .docx worksheet that I can store at the bottom. And then another thing that I'm thinking about doing is making a quick video, nothing too high productive because I got other stuff on my mind for my engineering class, but basically show examples of some of the principles and practices, how I use those in my own life, right? Eventually, instead of me doing it, I would probably like to interview other students doing it. But for now, in order to manage my limited resources, that's kind of the plan there. So